Thank you for joining me for another Quick Hits conversation. I'm Dr. Robyn, aka Mental MacGyver. I provide luxury level high performance support and coaching to executives, founders, celebrities, and athletes. With me today, I have Joey Robert Parks. He is a 32-book author and ghostwriter and the Da Vinci of writing. He can write in any style, genre, or topic and make it sound natural, like he's been an expert for decades. I have Jim Tam. He's a principal client director at Korn Ferry's Digital Group, where he advises organizations on how to improve their sales effectiveness using world-class sales methodology and technology. And I have Lisa McDonald. She is the founder of Career Polish, where she specializes in career management and executive presence. The question I have today: do your own research is used as an insult, but we're not scientists in a lab. So how do you avoid confirmation bias when you're looking for the truth? Joey, what do you think?
That's an interesting question. The first thing that comes to mind is the whole line about Google it when you're talking about something. Wow, I don't keep an open mind, think of counter arguments to my own opinion. Right. Things like that. What do you guys think? I feel like it's a little hot potato thing. I'm trying to figure out exactly where this ends.
I mean, it's a tough question. To me, this is like a two-part question. When somebody asks me to do my own research, one, either they're lazy and they don't know the answer themselves, or they know the answer, but they don't want to influence me on my own perspective on things, which I appreciate sometimes, especially now when a lot of news and a lot of information is very polarizing and it's usually the extreme. And you just need to kind of maybe do your own research so that you're not influenced either way. But I do think that the first part of not being influenced biasly, I guess you can call it, is to know you have biases. And then you do everything to challenge your own biases and keep an open mind. And that really takes a very secure individual to say, I want somebody to prove that I'm wrong. Mm. And I have those conversations with a lot of people all the time about religion, about politics. It's like, I could be wrong, convince me.
Lisa? I think that's a great point that you're talking about, because isn't that the whole point of research, like scientific research? It's not to prove something right, it's to prove something wrong. Mm. That's the whole basis of research. So one of the things that really kind of came to my mind was the phrase, draw your own conclusions. Mm. So between the two, I think it's that phrase has devolved into do your own research. So instead of here and presenting things and trying to present in a biased way, draw your own conclusions. Let's have a conversation to Jim's point of prove me wrong, or let's discuss, let's explore and see what we can discover. Now it's do your own research. And it's a dare, prove me wrong, because you'll find something that supports me.
I find when people say to me, do your own research, it's because they are basically calling me a sheep. They're saying you're following the trends, you're not paying attention. And no matter what I bring to the table as data, they're still going to say that's not good enough. And so then I'm like, well, what does do your own research mean? If I come to you with all this expert information, are you expecting me to go like pop up a lab and start like studying it? And so the fact that it's used as an insult, and then if you bring data, they don't appreciate it, is frustrating to me.
My response to that is it's a dodge. It's like an unanswered question. It's a dare, or it's sort of an insult. They have a strong opinion. And that's what you're, quote, dealing with. So you can respond with like, you know what, that you can embrace it. Okay, where should I start? Where do you think is a good place for me to start on my journey? You give it kind of a de-escalate it, attempt to just embrace it. All right, I'll do some research. Point me in the right direction.
I guess it all depends on the context of the conversation that you had, right, Robyn? I mean, to your point, when somebody says do your own research, it's like almost like they've given up trying to convince you, and then they just parry it and say, hey, you know what, you're not going to listen to me, so do your own research. And I said, well, I will do my own research, but I want to know your opinion. I'll find the facts later, but give me your opinion.
Sorry. I think it's just the intent behind it. I think it can be used as a weapon, as an insult, or just as I'm done. I want to end this conversation now. So sometimes it's okay, like to Jim's point, let's explore. And sometimes it's just to Joey's point, okay, I'll do that, and just let it go. Mm-hmm.
It's always funny to me when someone says that to me and they have no ability to actually break down a scientific study. I mean, I do. I have a doctoral degree. I know how to break down a scientific study. I can tell you whether or not it was biased or not. And so for me, when they start throwing stuff out at me, I can look at the study and be like, oh yeah, they were looking for that answer. Look, they found it. That wasn't an actual research study. And so for me, when somebody says it to me, I take it maybe a little bit more personally than I should, because it's almost like, you don't know how to do research. I'm like, no, actually, I do know how to do research.
But I think a lot of times the research is Google.
Right.
And that's not really research.
And once you start going down a certain path, that's what Google's going to feed you. It doesn't feed you the alternate. And that's where I think where the challenge comes in. Like, delete all the cookies from your computer and start over on your search and go a different direction and see what you find that way.
Yeah, that's the whole problem with artificial intelligence, right? It will continue to feed you things that you already think you believe in, and then all of a sudden you think that's the only opinion that exists.
Right, because you've prompted it a certain way. Because you've crafted the question with all the details and you filled in, it's going to spit back at you, most likely, something that fits.
How do you avoid that?
Prompt the negative also, which is something in Midjourney where you're saying, I want this and this and this. Do not include this thing and this thing and this thing. I mean, you already have to come to it with a sense of what you're dealing with. Maybe you've Googled it first and then you have some information, but some positive and some negative sides of it to give it.
Well, I guess I would also see who people I respect and use them as a sounding board and say, hey, I just saw it, and what are your thoughts on it, and have given their opinion. I always believe that there's right and wrong, but the answer is somewhere in between. So the more of a spectrum of opinions I have, and then eventually I can formulate my own.
Lisa, how do you look for the other side? What does that look like for you?
The first thing I'm thinking of, the reason I'm kind of just sitting here smiling, is because I had a cartoon come to mind, and it's Hell, and they're being introduced, and it says, Dr. Smith, this is Troy. Troy did a Google search and read an article one time about your entire life's field of study and work. He's going to spend eternity lecturing you on it. So that's,
Right.
I think that's the reaction you have, Robyn, when somebody says.
Yes, it is very much that. Yes.
So I think I try to look for the intent behind it. So is it, we're trying to have a conversation? Are we being curious, or is it just a polite cover for an argument? So in that moment, it's just a matter if I want to engage or not. And oftentimes I don't. I'll just say, you know what, I appreciate that. I will do some research. Thanks for your insight. I appreciate it. And just let it go. It's not worth it to me.
I think to go back to Jim's point early on, where he said you have to realize that you have biases. One thing that I like to do is to go into something like a ChatGPT or similar and say to it, here's this argument, blah, 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 whatever it is. Give me the other side. And ask it to tell me, like, what are the arguments on the other side? And if I feel like, oh, I want more, I'll ask it, like, give me verified sources. Tell me where you got your information. And you can actually have an argument with generating something that'll generate the other side of it for you to help you learn. And I think that openness has helped me in a lot of ways.
That's a key, is one thing that you said, is when you're doing the prompt, give me verifiable sources, give me research. So it's not just give me what you can find on Google, making it faster for me. Give me evidence. And
you have to make sure you have to say verifiable, because it'll make up resources for you, which is not a good thing. That's not useful at all. When it does
for sure.
that.
I think 9 out of 10 people just kind of take everything as face value, and they think whatever is on the internet is the truth. And unless they peel back the onion a little bit more, dig a little bit deeper, or ask the right questions, they're always going to be the lemmings, right? And unfortunately, with machine learning and AI, the more I hear about it, and the more I reinforce maybe wrong opinions, the more it feeds it to other people. Not to get off topic with politics, but like next year, I'm going to question everything I read in an election year, because you never know whether it was self-generated content, verifiable content, or made up wildfires that has spread. We all need to be aware that's going to be out there next year.
I definitely found when I did my continuing education in nutrition, talk about a hot topic where people will get entrenched in what they believe and not be willing to look at anything outside of it. I could not believe the amount of name calling nastiness that I found in the nutrition space when I was doing that kind of work. And that, do your own research. And I was like, you want me to go study beef myself? What? I don't understand. So that's where this conversation started for me. And I appreciate the three of you explaining to me how you go about doing this and what it means to you when someone says that to you. So thank you so much. And I look forward to speaking to each of you again very soon.